Well, good day, folks. This is Jonathan Milam back again, and usually I do my videos where you can see my whole face and upper chest, and I'm working with trumpets, but I'm going to spare you today, and I'm just going to show you the items that we're discussing. Okay, this is the Reeves family of mouthpieces. The Reeves family. Welcome to the Reeves. Say hello to Mr. Reeves. Little humor. But these were made by Bob Reeves, who is, of course, one of the premier mouthpiece makers for trumpets, I'm sure, in the world, and certainly outstandingly appreciated and valued by professional trumpets around. And I'm not a pro trumpet player, but hopefully better than the poorest of hacks. Maybe somewhere in between. At any rate, I've got 6 mouthpieces that I want to run over real quickly. And the first one is Bob's ES. This is an extra shallow. Strangely enough, when I bought this, and I knew when I bought it, secondhand, someone took the shallow, which would be definitely a bowl type cup, and they V'd this out. So this one is probably not the best, but definitely bastardized, you know, if I can say that. So it's definitely not the vintage traditional one that Bob Reeves would probably want shown. Nonetheless, an excellent mouthpiece. Whoever adjusted this one did a great job. And one thing I'll say about Bob Reeves' mouthpieces, as near as I can tell, and again, I'm certainly not the most professional of professionals, but his mouthpieces tremendously uniform as far as the rim goes, and a very, very comfortable rim. I did a demo just a few moments ago, and I'll probably refer to it again. This is a Trent Reeves, what he calls the TA lead mouthpiece. And you might be able to see the TA, or the Trent Austin mouthpiece, is a slightly thicker rim and slightly flatter, than Bob's. Bob's, I believe, have a little bit more roundness to them, and that really works well for me. Trents are nothing like the A4A of Schilke. You know, I tend to overpress when I get a very flat rim, and it really doesn't help me at all. I think my endurance, which was never the best in the world, was still better with a rounded rim. And these Reeves are certainly comfortable. So the ES, of course, extra shallow before someone V'd this out. But great piece. And all of these, I think, lean more towards a commercial sound. Bob has a classical series, which I don't have experience with because I'm certainly not a classical player. This is probably one of the, I don't have a shallow of Bob Reeves, so we go from the ES, which was modified, straight to his, what he calls a medium. Still a relatively shallow cup, as you would expect, but not a screech again, bowl shape, and really a tremendous mouthpiece. This is just about what I needed out of a mouthpiece. Bob's C comes next, and definitely, certainly quite a bit more room in it than you'd find with the M. This is the M, this is the C. We'll try and get them at about the same angle so that you can see. The C definitely and certainly got a bowl-shaped feel to it, not the V that I would generally like, but a very fine piece. And here is Bob Reeves' V. This is his V, and certainly much more of a V. Again, now we've got the C here, and we've got the V in the other hand, and I believe you can see that the C is definitely much more bowl-shaped than the V. He has passed away, but when I was, well, a few years ago, I was really reading a lot at trumpetherald.com, one of the favorite forums that I've got. And Michael McGovern was a tremendous contributor there, and, you know, big on mouthpieces. He was one of the top call trumpeters here in New York City. And he really said it's very hard to make improvements on a Reeves mouthpiece. And he was talking with a professor of a university in the West, if I recall correctly, and they were talking about a drawer full of mouthpieces that asked Bob to modify just a little bit, and Bob's original designs, they said, were always better. This V is, of course, as you would expect, not quite the bowl shape that you get with a C, but definitely a bit more of a V. Not very deep, though. In fact, Trent Austin's lead, which is, again, one of my favorite mouthpieces, feels considerably deeper than Bob Reeves' V. Just a comparison there, not saying one is better than the other. However, and I'm not sure you can see it, but the mouthpiece, the throat entrance on Trent's lead is much more gradual, where Bob's is definitely much more of a bowl type into the throat of the trumpet. Fascinating when you get into the entrance of the throat. It's not always the size of the throat, but the way that it links the cup and the stem or the backbore that really, in my opinion, make a difference. And you can see the relaxed nature of Trent's lead as opposed to Bob's, which is here on this side. All right. One other piece that we've got here is Bob's C2J, as he calls it. I'd love to know what that stands for. And I've been over the Reeves website a number of times. Perhaps I just can't recall. Now, again, I'll contrast that a little bit with Trent Austin's, which you can see is a full size. Bob's is more of a flugel size mouthpiece, even though it is made to fit into the receiver of a trumpet. We've got Trent Austin's trumpet flugel mouthpiece, and then we've got Bob Reeves' C2J. You can see the difference in length here, and you can also see the difference in throat. I believe that Bob Reeves, which is this one here, is an 11 throat, and Trent's, I'm going to believe, is about a 24 or 25. Unbelievable how large Bob's is. In fact, I made a video recently with a Con trumpet, a vintage trumpet. I was using this mouthpiece. I can't handle the 11 throat. I just don't put that much wind in to get that. I was embarrassed about that video, but I love the huge, huge, dark, intimate sound that you get with Bob Reeves' C2J. It's a masterfully done mouthpiece, extremely, and a very relaxed throat. Very relaxed, if you can see that. And again, we'll take Trent's flugel mouthpiece and we'll hold them up. Trent's is quite relaxed as well, just much smaller. But there we go, trying to get them at about similar angles. Okay, now, those are all of the Reeves mouthpieces that I have. We started with the ES, which was modified. Then we went to a medium. We had a C, we had a V, and we did a C2J. Now this, I believe, if I recall reading, when Bob was a young man, he worked with Mr. Purviance, who was a custom mouthpiece maker many years ago. Bob came back and he began putting out the Purviance mouthpieces, and this is one of my all-time favorite mouthpieces. I really, really like it. It's called the P6, and I did write an email to the Reeves company. I believe John Snell is the one that responded to me. Said this was a 27 throat. This is such a tremendous mouthpiece. I mentioned in my last video that I like Trent Austin's lead. These mouthpieces are quite similar. Again, Trent's, you can tell, the Trent Austin lead has got a little more relaxed entrance into the throat as opposed to Bob Reeves' Purviance, which is here, the P6. But actually, quite a bit of similarities. No wonder I naturally gravitated to them. I definitely prefer a V-cup. But this Purviance 6, just a wonderful mouthpiece. The strange thing, I've used a 41 rim with it, and Bob makes a lot of his mouthpieces. It's an option, of course. You can unscrew, and you see the lengthy threads. It's a very quality thread. But I've been using a 41 with it because the 41 is a better size for me than the 42. But I believe technically this Perviance, I think I read somewhere that it really would do better with a 41.5 size rim. There's just a little bit smaller rim here, if you can see the screw in. It's a very minuscule feel, but enough so that you can feel it with your fingernail. But this is the Perviance. All right, so we have done Bob's extra shallow, which was modified to a V. We have done his medium. We have done his C. We have done his V cup. And we've also done the C2J. But I have to tell you, far and away, my favorite is when Bob Reeves took Mr. Perviance's piece and modified it, calling it his 6. Great mouthpiece, and again, hope you've enjoyed your brief introduction with the Reeves family. Take care, have a great day, and as always, thanks for tuning in.